in style tonight for my 9 o'clock show. Okay? Let's talk some DFS. And I'm going to again talk about players who have done well against certain pitchers. If there's not enough at bats to talk about, I'm not going to talk about it. First game today, Miami and Toronto, Eliezer Hernandez and Hyun-Jin Ryu. Not enough to talk about. Now, if you want to talk a few at bats, Francisco Cervelli is 3 for 4 off Ryu. But I don't consider that enough of a sample size, but he is 3 for 4 off Ryu in his career. The Kansas City Royals are at the Reds. Chris Bubeck, the rookie. Well, there's not enough sample size there. Luis Castillo for Cincinnati. Neither pitcher has faced a batter more than 6 times. And Bubeck has not faced any red yet. Atlanta Braves are at the New York Yankees tonight. Touki Toussaint. Keep your eye on Touki. We know the Braves have gone through some upheaval with their pitching staff. Lenny touched on it this morning. I'll touch on it now. Folty's gone. Soroka's gone. They sent down their starter last night who was absolutely pummeled. And so this start for Touki Toussaint tonight can really help solidify his spot in the rotation if he does well against Yankee World. We'll see. Never faced the Yankees before, and he's going up against another rookie, Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery, I have praised him. I've sung his praises. I think Montgomery may well be the second, if not second, third best starter the Yankees have ability-wise. We'll see how he fares off against a... Now, here's the thing about the Braves. Their top 5 hitters, I put up against anybody. Their bottom 4 stink. It is a top-heavy lineup. And how you see Montgomery go through innings 1 and 2, if he gets through innings 1 and 2, I think he makes it through 3 and 4. So we'll see how he comes off. Acuna's red hot. Freeman's red hot. We'll see how he fares against the top of that Brave order, which is really good. It'll be a great game to watch from a perspective of seeing how these young pitchers, Toussaint and Montgomery, perform tonight. Baltimore's at Philadelphia. Alex Cobb against Zach Wheeler. They're the scheduled starters. Not a lot of sample size. JT Realmuto, the Phillies blew their chance to re-sign him. He will become a free agent. None of these are 10 at-bats, but he's 3 for 6 off of Cobb with 2 home runs. I think the 2 home runs are significant. Not the fact that he's only played 6 at-bats or had 6 at-bats about get him, but the thing that he's had 2 home runs in those 6 at-bats. So I like Realmuto's price is probably going to be high. McCutcheon's also 3 for 6. Gregorius is 3 for 7. Where I'm going here is this was Cobb probably a year or 2 ago. Cobb looks better this year. This is a good hitting Philly lineup. I'm really interested to see how Cobb performs against the Phillies tonight. Trade deadline's 2 weeks away. This is a huge step. If the Orioles could get a good outing out of Cobb, I would trade him before his next start. I really would. Now, I don't know that they'll do that, but if he could go in there and give you 6 innings, give up 2 runs or less, strike out a few, and not walk anybody, I think Alex Cobb is trade bait, and a team like the Braves, who are losing pitchers, maybe even a team like the Phillies. You know, Spencer Howard came up, mixed reviews on that start. He's a young pitcher. He's going to do well. He didn't do that great in his outing on Sunday. Probably going to be used sparingly, but used. But Cobb is certainly a chip, and the Orioles are going nowhere this year. Get some prospects. Build, again, more for the future. The Chicago Cubs, John Lester, Cleveland Indians, Adam Plutko. We know the Indians are without 2 of their star pitchers until probably at least the weekend. Now for the Indians against John Lester, Carlos Santana, 5 for 18. That's a 278 average. Cesar Hernandez does not hit him well, 2 for 12. Frankie Lindor, 3 for 9. Plutko, not enough stats to talk about. White Sox are at the Tigers. Gio Gonzalez, Tyler Alexander. Now, not enough I got a few stats here for Alexander, actually. But remember, Alexander's last outing came in relief, where he pitched about 3 2/3 innings. Struck out 10 batters. Are you kidding me? 9 in a row. Now, I didn't watch the game. What I heard about the game and read about the game was that the strike zone was somewhat expanded. I don't know. I know he struck out 10 in a little over 3 innings. And he's pitching today against a White Sox team that likes to strike out a lot. So, if you want to take a flyer on a pitcher in DFS, I say take one on Tyler Alexander. Probably cheap today. But against him, the stats for the White Sox are pretty good. All right? Jose Abreu, who was injured. I don't know the extent of the foot injury. One report I read this morning was that it's not serious. He'll probably play today. If he does, in his lifetime, he is 6 for 11 off of Tyler Alexander. 6 for 11. James McCann is 4 for 10. Against Gio Gonzalez, Jonathan Scope, 6 for 21. That's a 286 clip. And of course, that's a righty-lefty situation. So I like Scope today in DFS against Gio Gonzalez. Washington and Max Scherzer playing the Mets and Rick Porcello. For the Mets, Michael Conforto. Can't say he owns Scherzer, but he's done really well. In 32 at-bats, he has 11 hits, 4 home runs, and a 344 average. I'm digging me some Conforto today in DFS, and I think you should be digging some Conforto as well. He's my Met of the day. For Porcello against the Nationals, this could be a feast. Okay? So let's take a look at some of these guys. Adam Eaton, 7 for 19. 2 home runs, a 389 average. Wow. Starlin Castro, 6 for 22. That's a 271 average. Howie Kendrick, 10 for... Are you kidding me? That can't be right. I was looking at the numbers wrong. 10 for 34. That's a 294 average. And Asdrubal Cabrera is 18 for 65. That's a 277 average. So all 4 of those guys against Porcello, I think, are in play today in daily leagues. Tampa Bay's at Boston. Andrew Kittredge and Martin Perez. For Tampa against Martin Perez. Mike Zunino, 6 for 20 with 3 home runs. 300 average. Yandy Diaz, 4 for 12, 333. 2 right-handed bats against a left-handed pitcher who doesn't throw that hard, and we know Boston pitchers have struggled so far this year. So I'm digging me some Yandy Diaz and Mike Zunino at catcher today, probably really cheap. Minnesota at the Brewers, Tyler Clippard getting the start. And not a lot of numbers there. He's been a reliever, you know. Yelich does have a home run off of him in his career. Lindblom is pitching for the Brewers. No stats. Arizona and Colorado, Zach Gallen and Kyle Freeland. No one for the Rockies has 10 at-bats against Zach Gallen, but for the Diamondbacks against Kyle Freeland, we got several. Nick Ahmed, 7 for 21 with 2 home runs, 333 average. Kenta Maeda, 7 for 22, a homer, a 318 average. Daniel Peralta, 5 for 15, a 333 average. Here's one guy I probably won't start today. Gave you the good ones. Let's give you a bad one, okay? You ready for a bad one? Let's do a bad one. All right, here it goes. John Jay, 0 for 10. That's right, 0 for 10 against Kyle Freeland. So if any of you John Jay fans are out there today, don't go picking him up to face Kyle Freeland. Seattle and Texas. Marco Gonzalez, that soft-throwing lefty. Texas, Joey Gallo, 5 for 15 with 2 homers. Odor is not going to play. He's on the IL hitting 400. Sensu Chu, 381. Mike Minor pitching for Texas. Not a lot there. D. Gordon, 4 for 17. That's a 235 average. That's about as good as it gets. I'd leave the Seattle Mariners alone in terms of historical numbers. Now, the Giants are in Houston. Tyler Anderson and Brandon Belak. No good stats there. Oakland and the Angels. Mike Fiers and Dylan Bundy. Here's some hitting. All right? Mr. Trout. And I reverently refer to him as Mr. Trout. Mike Trout seems to hit everybody. In his career, he's hitting 387 off Mike Fiers in 37 at-bats and with 5 home runs. David Fletcher is 7 for 11. If you're doing your math, that's 636. Pretty good average, huh? And Tommy LaStella is 3 for 10. Dylan Bundy facing athletic hitters. I'm getting my teams confused. I get excited on here. But you don't want boring, right? I mean, if you want boring, I could just talk monotone and just stare at you the whole time. No, we're not going to do that. Dylan Bundy, who last time out pitched 9 innings. Complete game. Chris Davis with a K, 6 for 16 off of Bundy with 3 home runs and a 375 average. Matt Chapman, the downside of that, 1 for 10 off of Bundy with 7 strikeouts. Sit Chapman in DFS. If Bundy can strike him out as an Oriole, he's only going to do even better as an Angel. Finally, the Pods and the Dodgers. It's going to be Stripling and Richards. Will Myers, 7 for 16 off of Stripling, a 435 average. Who not to start? Eric Hosmer, 1 for 14 off of Stripling with 5 strikeouts. So that's a look at some DFS do's and don'ts. Don't you like both the do's and don'ts? A lot of games on the schedule today. Everybody should be playing but the Cardinals and the Pirates. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Pirates and Cardinals going forward. It's going to be interesting to see how those games, will they make them up? How will they make them up? Cardinals playing more doubleheaders than anybody in history. What's going to happen in Cleveland with that situation? We'll keep our eye on it here on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network, on Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. And remember tonight at 7 o'clock, Chappie's Chat. At 9, Chappie and I back together again, as Hall & Oates would say. If you don't know that song, go play it. Okay? They're back together again, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, for the best news in fantasy world. It's good to be with you today, everybody. Have a great Tuesday. I'll be talking to you soon right here on Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports.